Lightworkers Unite is a podcast and social show hosted by intuitive women, lightworkers, and most importantly, friends, Mayume and Manjeet. Welcome to our podcast, where we believe there is a lightworker within all of us.
Whether you are a medium, an educator, or a nuclear technologist, there's a lightworker within you, and we have work to do.
This is a call to action.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Awesome.
Let's see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Hi, Manjeet. So,
Hi.
happy Monday. We are recording this on Monday, May 3rd. So let's state that this is our very first video show that we're posting in addition to the podcast. So you can absolutely tune in and hear us, but now we're making it available so you can actually watch us. And we don't know if this is good or bad. Is this good?
I don't know. Well, we're going to find out. We've had a lot of feedback for people wanting to kind of see us a little more. So this is kind of a new thing for us too. So we'll see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got nothing to hide. So
No.
we just make really funny faces and act really silly. So get ready for that.
Get ready for that. We're going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and for the podcast listeners who aren't going to be watching, it'll just feel like the same old, right?
Well, it is the same old because we always video record. So yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. But now I always feel like I got to fluff my hair a little bit, so, or maybe put some lipstick on or
I know I had to put a dark color on today. So, ooh, look at that. It's like,
I like it. I don't have a dark color to put on.
Oh.
Well,
we got to get you some.
I know. I guess pretty soon we'll start off like this, show ready. And I'm sure the more we do this, we'll probably just show up with no makeup and like pajamas.
Yeah, get ready,
right? We get
comfy, gentlemen.
We get very comfortable. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, let's talk about the subject today. So we chose the subject of Moonology, the moon, because you have an upcoming circle, which I'm so excited for you. And that's this Thursday, Manj?
Yeah, this Thursday, there's a 10 a.m. session and then a 7 p.m. session. So if you're working and you can't make it, we would love to have you in the 7 p.m. session. There's actually a few spots left in both. So we'd love to have you. If you're curious about this topic at all, it might be interesting. So do you know much about the moon, Mayume?
I know nothing. Earlier I said I know jack shit, so I just thought maybe I shouldn't swear on video, but I guess we're still gonna swear on video. No, I don't. I mean, I keep thinking, well, what do I know? I know very little, and so I wouldn't be someone comfortable to speak about it, but I could be the one that asks you questions, and right, we'll just do it that way. But I do find the moon very fascinating. I find it very beautiful. I do love its energy. And we all know, especially us females, about the energy that the moon and its cycles can affect us, and especially our hormones. I have blessed many rocks and gemstones or crystals with the moon energy. I've even done moon water, which was kind of cool. So putting out some sacred, filtered water out and having the moon's light and the energy really energize it and bless it, and then drinking that, for receptivity. But that's probably as far as I go.
Well, that's interesting. So what is the intention when you're blessing it under the moon? Like, what is going on with your thought process about why you're doing that?
Right. That's a great question. I'm doing it because the moon's energy to me is one, it's soothing. And I feel that it allows us to receive, because the moon energy to me is kind of the yin of the yang, right? Sun is about taking action and power and really like doing. And for me, the moon is much more of a being, receiving, and I want it to allow myself that opening of receiving. I think it's just that's pretty much reason.
Yeah, I know. It's a great.
And I read it somewhere that was really cool to do.
And then there's that. Yeah, I know. Well, I
And
know
there's
a
that.
lot of people that do that. So that I was just
Mhm.
curious, like, what is it about the moon that we're harnessing that you're wanting to bring from the cosmos, into your life,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that is what is really intriguing about the moon and moonology for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about, the intricacies of the moon. Like I'm very fascinated, and that's my star sign is the moon. Like that is
Mm.
my planet is the moon. So
Oh, I didn't know that. I love it.
and so I'm very gravitated to her, but I don't really, I'm not really into like a lot of the science with it. Like there's so much, oh my gosh, so much
Me
science
either.
around it. It's
I'm
like,
sure.
yeah,
Oh,
there's like constellations within the moon, and so there's and how that affects your sign, and so there's a
mm.
huge element of like um astrology with the moon that I'm not going to be talking about in the circle because that's really not in my wheelhouse at all.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating. There are a lot of folks that really get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd say leave that up for the scientists and the astrologists because I too don't know enough about it. But
Yeah.
I am fascinated by it and I would love to learn more. And maybe our listeners also feel the same way, like, oh, they're going to talk about the moon. That's cool. And I feel like we're going to give you some parts of it, but it's not the whole full meal deal, right?
Yeah. Because we could do like a whole year, I think,
Yes.
of like really moonology. Like people go fucking crazy.
Right.
It's amazing. And just the depth of knowledge that can exist for people, like, what house you're in. And I mean, there's a lot of complexity
Yeah.
with your sign and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to just start from the basics, like,
Okay.
right? That's going to be like is what the circle is about,
Yeah.
and just bringing people into the energy of her. And I call her Sister Moon.
I like
So
it.
she's always been like my sister. So it is really um it's really awesome with this circle because I love connecting with, obviously we love connecting with our sisterhood.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of my favorite thing.
I could see that. I think a lot of people think of the moon as female, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
Yeah.
it's like the opposite. So it's at nighttime. It's soothing. It's restful, and then and kind of dreamy. And then the sun is like wham, very masculine and
Yeah.
powerful and heat and warmth and growth. And so I like both very much so, and we
Yeah.
need both. But I think the moon is fascinating. So I think it's perfect for us sisters to be talking about Sister Moon.
Yeah. Well, and you'll find as we start talking more about this, and oh sorry, I just beat up the mic again.
See? Did you guys see that? That's how it happens.
I get
Bam.
excited. Boom, boom, boom. No, the well, what I've learned, just the basic part of moonology is that the different phases of the moon are actually, they have a different energy, right? And so
Yes.
honoring like that there is a real action component of the moon when she's in her full power, saying, go, do this, action, action, action. But what is really cool about the moon is she also has a very quiet side
Mhm.
where we are actually meant to rest and just be and surrender, and I think that is the beautiful part of moonology, is maybe just understanding what that means, that
Yeah,
cycle. There's definitely this really powerful cycle. So
agreed.
should we back it up 1 second?
Let's go back. Let's start over.
As always, I know this is so bad. Well, because I want to start with my inspiration is the Moonology Oracle Cards by Yasmin
Okay.
Boland. So this is the little deck here. I don't know if you guys can see it
Mhm.
here, but this is the
I do
really
love her.
oh,
You ever listen to her
so
radio show
no,
on Hay House? Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, and her little, as you open the box, I would, if you're even at all interested in our sister Moon, I would really highly recommend grabbing this deck because it's
Mhm.
really really fun and I'm learning so much. But as you open it, it says, "Let the moon be your guide," and so that's kind
Yeah.
of the premise, right, of this whole
Yeah.
um, podcast, and also, the whole circle that I want to do with folks is really just kind of understanding that moon, the moonology is about all of the cycles of the moon and how it works, and really kind of connecting us back to nature,
Yeah.
because Yasmin says, she states that we've really moved away from nature where we access great wisdom, ancient wisdom, actually, right?
Absolutely. Through the
So,
earth. Very powerful. I
yeah. And
think ancient was, it's in the trees, it's in the, that have been here for thousands of years. And just, yes, sometimes when you're in nature, I think that's why we feel good. Sometimes that's why people are drawn to being outside. Like, we need to get out of our houses more and go hug a tree. And it's ancient wisdom.
Yeah. And I think that's where people feel really connected to their third eye, right? They feel really connected to their psychic energy. It's because they're in nature and they're kind of like absorbing this information, and I think our ancestors, especially our pagan sisters, that's what they did. They regulated their whole lives around what they were hearing and listening to around them in nature. So I think this is just kind of really part of a way for us to open ourselves and learn a little bit about ourselves and gain information. It's just really one of those things that we can add to our psychic portfolio.
Yeah.
If you want.
Portfolio. I love it.
I just made that up. Did you like it?
I like that. Portfolio.
Our psychic portfolio. Yes. But,
before we get started, because I have questions and maybe this will be for later, but remember it's the waxing, right? We were talking about earlier, the cycles of the moon. And I'm such a dummy. Sometimes I mispronounce this word. I don't know if it's waning or waning. Is it waning? Right?
I think it's waning and waxing.
Yes, waxing first, or
right.
Yes, those are waning. So it's waning. I always waning and waxing of that. Like you said, the building up to the full moon is the kind of, let's just say, like the climax, right? You're building and building, waxing up to the full moon, and then you have the full moon. It's like, and then the very next day we start the next cycle of the waning, right? Where we start to go in and relax and receive, and then it starts to build again. So anyway, I took that from one of your moon circles that you held with beautiful Genevieve. So that's what I took away from it, and that has stayed with me about the cycles of the moon. So are we going to speak to that at all?
Yeah, actually I
okay,
do.
Yes. Okay, good.
I wrote a little bit about it just to kind of get a little bit of the flow and kind of what we're going through a little bit. But yeah, big shout out to Genevieve. She's an amazing, I call her the high priestess of the moon. She's was such a, she's moved, as unfortunately I can't have her over and doing more circles with her, but I would love to at some point. But we can definitely put in some of her contact information because she's really, really knowledgeable about this information. And she also has a really great way of kind of consolidating it into like bite-sized pieces so people can understand it, which I think is that's a fucking science. I mean, that's a talent for sure. So, but yeah, do you want me to go through kind of the main points?
Let's do it. Let's hear it. I'm excited.
And this is from the little book, the Moonology book from Yasmin, which I love. And then it's also, I kind of added some other things from other resources that I've learned about kind of these different phases. Yeah. So the new moon, let's start with that one. And that's actually what we're going to be speaking to a lot in the moon circle coming up on Thursday, because we're going to be going into the new moon next week. And so I thought it would be really fun to talk a lot about that new moon energy and how we can harness that for our greater good. Yeah. For our best and highest self. So the new moon is about a clean slate. So I have a guided meditation where we are going to really talk about and just kind of invoke Sister Moon into our lives. And how do we create a clean slate? This is about potential and this is about dreams. So I've had a lot of clients talk to me the last week or so about how crazy their dreams have been. Have you noticed that at
Yes.
all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah. Dreams are kind of my jam. I love it. I wish I could just get like an expert who can interpret all these crazy dreams. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been
it's
something going on right now.
yeah, and that
Something's
that
going on.
is a really that new moon energy is really um about dreaming, which I thought was really
Mm,
cool. So the next phase of that is the waxing moon, which you were alluding to earlier. And this is about embracing courage and moving forward with faith. So this might be a time where people are feeling vulnerable. Yeah.
mhm.
They've cleaned the slate in the new moon, but now they're kind of feeling less than maybe. Maybe this is a time to start thinking about your power chakra, that third chakra. So wearing a lot of yellow, accessing that power. And that brings us into the first quarter, which is where we bump up against challenges. And this is where we embrace our confidence and commitments.
Mm.
So the first quarter is kind of, it can feel a little heavy, and that's why the precursor to the first quarter is courage, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like proactively gearing yourself up for some challenge, some maybe some obstacles. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The gibbous moon then is course correction. So this is where we make adjustments in our life. So this might be a time when you're feeling like, oh man, that's not what I meant, or I gotta backtrack here and then redirect myself, right? So that's the gibbous moon, and then that takes
Gib-
us. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, so the gibbous, is that what you're saying? Gibbous moon? So
Yeah,
what would that look like in the sky? Because we know what a full moon looks like. So
yeah,
does it show like the stages? Is it a type of
yeah,
crescent or
yeah.
how much is showing? Like what is that?
The gibbous is like a real. It's like a little sliver,
A
like a
sliver.
tiniest little
Okay.
sliver. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
tiny.
Okay.
So it goes
Cool.
from new moon,
Hmm.
like to like the little bit of this way, and then it goes to half, and then the gibbous is this way, and that takes us right to the full moon.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is there four stages?
No, there's about seven,
Seven.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
the full moon takes us into results. So this is where it's result oriented. This is about forgiveness. When you don't make your goals, for example, or you don't feel like you've
Mm,
made your goals, the full moon can be really, really heavy. It can make you feel really drained. And
mm.
it's really important during the full moon to embrace gratitude. So we're going to talk a lot about that in the circle as well. Is what are we grateful for in our life? Because creating that vibration is a game changer, which we've talked about in our other episodes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Agreed.
So after that, there's the disseminating moon, which is all about relaxing. It's about rest. And I think a lot of women and men, we really fight this, don't we? We fight our desire for rest. We always feel like we need to be moving forward and going and going and going. But it's actually really critical, really important for us to embrace that disseminating moon, which is where we take it easy on ourselves. Yeah.
Mm.
And that brings us to the third quarter, where this is a place where we reevaluate, balance, and trust in the process. So the last three, the disseminating, the third quarter, and the last one is the balsamic moon, which sounds like a salad. And this one is about healing, soothing, surrender. So it feels like those last three,
Mm.
right, are more about like relaxing and kind of letting things percolate and just trusting in the process, right? Surrendering and healing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting, it's almost like the moon, right? When you really understand these phases of the moon and how they relate to us as women, it's almost like giving us permission to just be where we intuitively want to be. Yeah.
Gotcha.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
That sounds amazing. Yeah. It's a lot of, that's a great stuff. A lot of information. I'm thinking, wow, I kind of want to take one section at a time to like, okay, I'm more curious about this area and
Yeah.
and then I want to see how my body reacts. So there's a part of me that's getting excited to maybe even journal or take notes during this moon phase just to see,
Yeah.
this is what Manjeet said about this time. I'm wondering, let me tap in, kind of go within and see how I'm reacting and what's going on with me, what shows up. I think it's really fascinating that,
Yeah.
and maybe we take the moon for granted. I mean, honestly, we're just like, oh, it's a full moon. It's beautiful, lovely, romantic. But we're not realizing how the effects it has on us
Oh,
physically,
yeah.
emotionally, right? Spiritually. Cool.
Yeah, 100%. You know, in this little book, you know, she just kind of talk about that, which is really cool about you know, the moon and the earth, right? They've been here the minute we were born.
Hmm.
And yet we how often do we ever access that wisdom? You know, how often
Right.
do we ever say stop and say, Mother, you know, Earth, um, Sister Moon, you know, what is your wisdom for me today? And so in the meditation that I created and we're going to do on Thursday, it's really about accessing her. And I have a background of water, so it's going to be really cool. I'm in love with this meditation, I have to
Yay. I
say.
love it.
And so it's going to be just a way for us to like tap into that energy, that wisdom that we do. You're totally right. I think we take for granted. You know, we
Hmm.
can use her almost like a goddess. You
Of
know,
course. Moon goddess. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of fun. And what I love about that is the moon, you know, sometimes we don't see the moon, you know, sometimes
Right.
we don't,
And yet it's there, but we
it's
don't see it. Isn't that
there.
crazy? I feel like
Yes.
that's interesting to me too. Like at some point, sometimes she's like, I'm here. Bam.
Mhm.
Right. And I
Yes.
think then there's times where we can't see her, but
Yeah.
she's out there. It's just wild to me. Like,
Well, and I feel like that's how I am in life.
hmm,
Like there are times when I'm okay like with being seen, you know, like I'm here, I'm taking charge, I got this shit, like, you know, and I mean even today we're doing this like this filming, right? Like we're doing the video
yeah,
as well. So there are times when I feel like her, like, okay, I'm okay to be seen. I get
I can
myself out
show
there.
up. Hmm.
Yeah. But then there are other times where I don't want to be seen.
Right. I'll hide behind the clouds. Thank you. I'm still
Yeah.
here, but I'm just gonna kind of hunker in a little bit. I'm gonna be over here. Yeah, I
Yeah, and I
agree.
just want
I
to be
agree.
like quiet. I want to listen. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want, you know, I don't want, although I don't want to have to answer anything. I just want to like, you know, just,
Receive. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And so
Receive.
when I was reading this, like when I was doing all this research with this moon, the moon and the power of her and the moonology and all that other stuff, that was really like the thing that really drew me was I relate to her. Like I feel like yeah, sometimes I just don't want to be seen. And sometimes I feel really psychic and
Mhm.
energetic and alive, you know, and I can, you know, maybe we can be the light in the darkest room, you
Yeah.
know, like the full
Yeah.
moon can be, right?
Yeah.
But then other
Right.
times it's like, no,
No.
I'll let somebody else do that.
It's so true. I think that's balance, right? That's
Yeah.
it, it's the yin and the yang, it's the cycles, it's the being and doing. So I think that's it's all relative, it's all the same. It's about cycles. We're all in a cycle. And men are in a cycle too. Let's just be honest. Males have a cycle too. They may not bleed, but they have a fucking cycle,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think it's just much more known for us women that we have these cycles that we have to watch and follow, and it's just much more physical. And but I want to acknowledge that it's all humans and
Oh, yeah.
animals, right? Anything living and breathing has the cycle and is affected by the moon. So
Yeah.
let's hear what you got. And may I step back a tiny bit and ask,
Of course.
we have the new moon coming up, you said, and is it next week, right? Because I know it's once a
Yeah.
month. Okay. So where are we right now today in the phase? What phase are we currently in?
Yeah, I think we are like we just like a week ago today
Uh-huh.
was the full moon. And so I believe we would be
It was a
um
week ago today. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So I think
So
we
just
are
so people know, the full moon is obviously the full moon, and the new moon is the very start, right?
yes.
Of
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we're somewhere in like the finding courage, the waxing and the first and the gibbous, because the full moon is going to be next week. So we're somewhere in there where we're finding our
Can you
courage.
can you see the new moon?
The new moon?
Yeah,
No, I don't think so. I don't
right?
know.
It's like there's not, you can't see it, right? It's
Yeah.
completely blocked. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's what I
it's
thought it
a
was. Yeah.
I think so. I see this is where like I've got so much to learn because I love the energy around it, but I don't think we do see it right now, you know.
I don't think
Um,
so either.
but you bring up a really good point that this was probably one of the, I mean, there've been many circles where I felt like I really wanted to open it to men. And this one, I was really called to feeling like
Interesting.
it really, I just felt like, there's a lot of male energy as well that, that men connecting to their feminine side and women connecting to their feminine side, but also the masculine connecting to the feminine. So, I mean, this was one of those circles where I was really kind of hemming and hawing, going,
Interesting.
man,
Yeah.
I think dudes would really like this, but I think they would really find some clarity about themselves with this. So I don't know if there's a lot of dudes out there listening to our podcast. Maybe that's something we'll have to do because I
Maybe.
would love to.
I mean, maybe. I right away I'm thinking, I just immediately go to my dude that's downstairs. I don't know if my dude be like, ooh, a moon circle. I don't see him gravitating towards that. If we didn't put the moon in it and we maybe said astrology or
Ooh.
cycles, or I think it would have to be a different name to where we talk about the moon. But because I just feel like, and I'm speaking only for my husband, if we want dudes like him to show up, there's probably a ton of very spiritual awakened dudes out there that
Yeah,
would be finding this fascinating and who could also lend some information as well in how they
yeah,
feel and what they go through, because I'm sure it's very different than us,
than women.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what's
very, I'm sure.
intriguing to me. Because, like you
Yeah.
were saying, with their human forms on this planet, and the moon is so powerful, it's affecting all of us. So
All of us.
kind of building that awareness around how are they
Hmm.
giving themselves rest
Yeah.
and honoring their pace, and where are they finding courage in their lives. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just that was interesting you said that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really, it was part of my thought process was, oh man, I think I can name a handful of dudes that I think would really like this and be into it. So,
Mm,
but
interesting.
if
Into
you're
it.
into it,
Are you into it?
send
I'm
us a
into it.
message. Yeah. Let us know if I'm way off base. I don't know.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it is interesting. And then not to get off of this topic, but think about how the moon affects the ocean and the tides. I mean, that's some freaking crazy ass shit, if you ask me. Like, I don't know anything science related to that. I just know that it's hard to wrap my brain around how the tide is based and affected by the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, good stuff. If
Yeah,
anyone
it's
else
huge.
knows and wants to make a comment to, yeah, excuse me, I know how that happens and has more knowledge based around the moon and the tides, because I just, again, I find that fascinating. That is how powerful it is that they figured
Yeah.
out that they're correlated.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think that the as a coach, like where this really kind of fits into my world as a coach is when we are feeling depleted, or we're punishing ourselves for not getting into action, or we're not honoring our natural rhythms. um it really affects our energy. Right,
Yes.
our energy levels get depleted. And as a coach, what I've learned is when our energy is depleted, that's when our inner critic goes rogue,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
don't
We
you
can all
think?
relate to that. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, that just sounds like me right now. Like, oh God, I'm so rogue. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it ain't, so,
Bring it.
bring it in. Yeah, it is really fascinating to me that, this is where we are, the inner dialogue starts going really crazy, and we start doubting ourselves, and we
Mhm.
start doing some really destructive behaviors like disaster baiting, right?
Mm.
It really kind of, and disaster baiting is obviously it's when you kind of proactively sabotage yourself before you even do anything. So you're in action paralysis and you just think you're a failure, right? You're just like, I
Mhm.
can't do it. I never will. It'll never work. So why bother? Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that
terrible.
yeah, I mean, we all get there, but I think that this was just another component to it, right? That I thought, wow, when we are depleted, where does that land? Like, how do we, what are we doing that's making it harder for ourselves? So
Right.
when
And
our,
how to get back on track and start to fill ourselves. That's, yeah, because I think we always say this, it's one thing to acknowledge, because I just did like, holy shit, that's what's been happening to me. I'm feeling
yeah,
depleted,
yeah,
and off track, and the distractions, like, and so, and then the inner critic, like, oh God, you were supposed to do this, but you didn't. And so, da, 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 da. So what happens is then how do I get back to getting back on track, feeling good? Because that's, you acknowledge, but now I need to take action.
yeah, yeah. And I think that that's going to be, I offer some of that in the circle coming up. Are some strategies on how do we do that? How do we, and that comes, it's going to be in the meditation as well, which is really fun. But it really does speak to a lot of what our last episode of overwhelm, doesn't it?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
we talk about like when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling like depleted, we lose our energetic bubble. We're completely like open to that tsunami of emotion. So not only are you feeling this like, oh, I've a failure. I can't get shit done. Like I'm not good enough. If we start that kind of rhetoric with our inner critic, our defenses go down. And then the tsunami of emotion, when you're an empath, you get all of everybody else's bullshit coming at you too.
Yeah. Right.
So where does that leave us? Right.
Right. Right.
So there are definitely some things that we can do though around the
Like, like number one.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of cool. There's lots of really fun things to help us regulate our emotion, regulate our energy levels. And one of them, I think, number one is really rest.
Yes.
I mean,
Number one. It is.
right?
So,
Like,
and again, we don't realize it, or we don't utilize it, and we realize, gosh, all I really need is just more rest, more
oh my
Z's.
God.
And then and it's not like, I'll make up for it over the weekend. I'm just going to go, and then I'll just, load up on the weekend. It really is a natural daily cycle of rest that we need more, so that
Yes.
we can work. Yeah, because I'm guilty of like, oh, I'll just push through, and
Yeah.
then I'll sleep
Oh,
in, or I'll get more on Saturday night, or la 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 la. But that's
yeah.
not the proper way to do it,
Right.
right?
It's
It's
not
not good.
honoring our natural like biorhythm, right? And then
Yeah,
when we're doing
circadian
that,
rhythm. Mhm,
yeah.
exactly.
And I think that's where like Sister Moon is helping us. She's trying to help us, give us
Yeah,
that like permission to go, you know what? I really want to rest. I'm going to do that. I need
yeah,
to just contemplate and just be on my own. So I think when we are feeling low in energy, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling all those things, having that to take, just carving out that little bit of strategic time to rest is,
mhm.
I think that makes her happy
Yeah.
and
It makes
makes
our
me happy.
bodies healthy, makes, yep, the flow of our bodies. It's so true. And
Yeah.
just listening to those nudges of saying, I really should go to sleep. And that's when the magic happens. It, to me,
Yeah.
is when we're asleep, when our bodies are resting, and our soul is also coming alive, and we're doing travel. And that's a whole other episode, astral travel. But it really is when we come alive, the dreams come in, because that's how we started this, is talking about the crazy
Yes.
dreams. But there's a lot of magic and messages from spirit,
Yes.
even loved ones, dream visitations. So getting that sleep, that rest, brings in so much magic. We need
Yeah.
to honor that. We need to really, when we say, just one more episode on Netflix, please, just one more, when we instead just going, nope, click, I'm going to bed. I'm going to rest my body, rest my soul, so I
Yeah.
can receive some magic and not get
Yeah.
depleted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I often do that. I'll say I'm gonna go to bed and I'm going to work because I want to get some messages for somebody in
Yes.
particular. So I've actually done that where I like turn everything off and I crawl into bed. I spray my lavender, in my sheets and my pillow,
Mm.
and I just say, okay, I'm gonna go to work now.
Yeah.
And so I'm really setting the intention of like my guides coming in during my rest. So like
So true.
sometimes this is like at 8 o'clock at night because I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. Okay, let's just do this. I got a
Yeah.
lot of work to do. Let me do that work while I'm actually resting my body. Then,
Absolutely. Yeah. Same
yeah.
thing. Dream journal, spirit journal next to my
Yes.
bed. And lately too, because I don't always do this, it's been a long time, but the visitors, sometimes if I'm feeling well rested, I'll say, okay, fine. I'll open it to visitors who wants to come visit. Right. And then
Yeah.
and then the visitors come and I see them. But then there's nights where I'm so exhausted because
Yeah.
I didn't take care of myself because I was pushing and not going to bed. Then I'm just so exhausted that I miss out. And I'm like, no, sorry, can't do it tonight. I'm too tired. So no visitors. And sometimes I feel like I'm letting them down where they're like, "Ah,
Oh,
did you guys, you
yeah.
hear that? She's not ready for us tonight either." Sounds so weird. But yeah.
Why? No, I know. I love it. Yeah. And then that's actually part of the strategy as well, like things to try, right? To help you during this time
Mhm.
is actually um journaling like we were talking about. You were talking about it with respect to a dream journal, but
Yeah.
even just having that strategic time for reflection, like we talked about in the last episode about doing the to-do list. And for me, my to-do list really feels like journaling. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
feels
it
like a
is.
release, doesn't it?
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
so having that time to really just write some stuff out, maybe even just use the prompt, um, what am I ready to release today?
Yeah.
Where do I give myself like gratitude and grace? What does my body want? What does my spirit want? What does my heart want?
Yeah.
What does my tummy want? Just really kind of tapping in and just honoring yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Yes. So, what do we got next? Are we going to draw cards? Do we have time? Are we going
yeah,
to do
I
that?
can if you
Because I
want.
think,
Are you ready?
oh
Are
my
we
gosh,
getting to that time?
yes, I think
Okay.
so. I think
Okay.
we are definitely getting to that time. Is there anything
Oh,
else though before we do that? Do you want me
yeah.
to?
I just want to talk about some things to avoid. So we're talking, we did talk
Ah,
about, right? We talked about things that we can do during this time, but proactively, and this is like the coach in me, right? It's saying, let's try not to get there in that full depletion mode. So, some things to avoid is overbooking yourself,
right.
especially around that full moon energy. And they like a lot of the resources that I was reading with people that are way smarter than me about this shit, were like, 4 days before and 4 days after the full moon, you really want to be mindful about where you're expending your energy. Because if
Mm,
you're overbooking yourself, you're not giving yourself any room for
yeah.
rest, right? And that
Yeah.
relaxation and healing to happen. So also, and this is the one that I kind of extrapolated from some of the information that people were throwing out there is, um, don't overbook yourself physically. So, you know, like meetings and all that kind of stuff. Don't overbook yourself emotionally. And
Mm.
that really includes screen time. So really
Mhm.
cutting, oh, sorry, I'm banging the mic again. Really just honoring that, that a lot of that screen time, it really does deplete our energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then don't
Yeah.
overbook yourself energetically. So don't set up meetings, and maybe like I know for me, I'll block off more clients because
Mhm.
the ones that I am going to have during that time, I want them to have my full attention.
Yes.
So
So
kind of just,
important.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that serve you?
No, that does. That's great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Thank
Everyone
you.
hear that? I'm sure everyone is agreeing that's listening or watching since we are doing this as a video this time. I do want to say there might be such a very subtle difference between emotional and energetically, right? You were saying emotionally and energetically. And I find that they almost blend, right? So that emotional part, when I'm watching Netflix at night, it is to feel that emotional need or filling an emotional hole of like, oh, my husband hasn't been that romantic with me lately. I'm just going to watch this here to kind of feel that emotion that I'm kind of yearning for. Right. But again, that's using up my energy. And so I always think there's such a
Yeah.
fine line between that emotional and energetically. So and energetically, I'm feeling like it's my field, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Are you referring? Yeah.
Yeah. Like draining, being around people that drain
Brain.
you, even, like, so
Yes.
just don't book time with people that drain you. Like,
Yeah.
imagine that. Imagine that you have control over that.
Yeah. We
Like
all
if you,
do. We forget. We forget. And I know a lot of people are like, are you kidding me? I'm not the one who sets up my meetings, or I don't have a choice. And, depending on your job and your occupation. But I think we do. I think we have to really honor, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I just wanted to speak to the emotional part because I could see that made more sense to me of like, that's the screen time you're referring to, that emotional um, space that I'm taking up or using to get all emotional. And it could even be like yucky news, right? That can bog us down when we're listening or watching
oh
very
yeah,
emotional
energetically.
news, energetically, emotionally. So anyway, thank you for that. I love that so much.
I love
All right.
it.
So
Yeah,
what's
thank you.
next? What's next?
Well, that's pretty much it, other than just join me and some pretty fucking badass ladies. We're gonna just hang out and talk and share and learn and
Awesome.
meditate and lots of fun stuff like you do in your
Sounds
circles. So
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, I've learned so much, and that's what I mean. We talk about this a lot, is when we facilitate these circles. Man, I feel like I've learned so much about myself, and I'm so honored to be, invited into their lives as well. So yeah, I'd love to see
I
you guys
love it.
there. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for a card?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just pulled this card while you were talking because I was trying to tap into your energy.
Mm.
And I got this one. Oh, I'm gonna drop it. It's confidence.
Oh, look at
Uh,
that. Is that a
yeah,
lion?
confidence. Yes. Confidence is your key to success. It is the new moon in Leo.
In Leo. That's awesome.
Yeah. And the new moon is coming, right? That's what we were talking
Yeah.
about, like next week. And so that's what's interesting is it's kind of challenging you to see where in your life
Yeah.
are you ready to embrace your confidence. Does
Mm.
that resonate with you?
Well, on many levels, actually, yes. So that's so interesting because, last month was the new moon on my birthday, and it was a new moon in Aries. So that was really powerful time.
Mm.
And I could feel that last month. And so knowing this card, this to me, the confidence, there's a couple places that resonates with me is that probably stepping into more platform mediumship is what's coming up next is more, I mean, I do group readings, but those are, people who know each other and, families and friends that gather, but really doing more. I started to do more last year and then the pandemic happened. So I couldn't do gatherings, but really more
Mm.
platform mediumship, like, yeah,
Yeah.
inviting the public. So and it's been scary, but it's been like my guides are kind of saying that's
Oh.
next, that's next. So maybe that's it. Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm like, I
Yeah,
love
when we
it.
do that, when we're on that cusp of excitement and fear, that's where we know we're on the right track. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
that
right.
is
That makes
pretty
sense.
badass. I
That's
love
awesome.
that. And yeah, you're
Mm,
so good at that. I mean, it's
mm.
just so fun to watch you
I'm
just do that.
excited. And, yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
to get back to doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
So some of the wording here, if you're open, do you want to
Oh,
hear
yes,
a
I
little bit
am.
about
Of
it? Okay.
course.
So the Leo, but that's a lion, that is like strength, right? She's
Yeah.
just a badass. And essentially it's time for you to show the world what you've got. It's a shine your light. Have some
Oh my.
pride. Have pride, have that pride in yourself that I know what I'm doing. I am confident in this. And
Yeah.
you are really good at this, right? And
It's so
then,
funny. I keep
uh-huh.
going. Sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
was to say it's so funny because as with anything, and that we're talking about the moon and the cycles and the ebb and flow, I do go through phases where I feel confident, I feel good, things are great, and then I might have a little dip, like, oh gosh, am I really a fucking medium? I don't know if I really am. And so you just go to that self doubt, then you got to go back up. No, 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 I am. This is, and I'll have like a fucking miraculous reading where things were just hard evidence, tons of gold
Mm,
nuggets. And I'm like, yes. And then you might have one that's like, so, and you're like, who knows why the factors, but it's interesting that the ebb and flow of that. So anyway, it
yeah,
totally resonates with me
I
of
love
where I'm
that.
at. Yeah.
Have pride, like the lion, right? Like the
Yeah.
lioness is prideful. And then it says, spoil yourself. You've earned it. So we're thinking
Ooh,
about, the journey that you have been, to get you to this point right now
yeah.
is something to celebrate. I mean, it really is, right?
Yeah. I
And
agree. Thank you.
it says you've turned someone's head.
Mm,
So there's you basically you're making an impact, right?
yeah. I mean, that's not romantically, obviously.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you are one sexy bitch. I'm just
oh my
saying. You
God.
probably turn a lot of heads.
I just need to turn one. Thank you. But so, yeah, I'd like that. So, yeah, maybe an impact on someone's life. That's all I really care about, really, is bringing some
Yeah,
kind of healing or guidance, insight, whatever it takes to help another soul on their path, whether
yeah,
it's their awakening or maybe it is their healing because they're riddled with grief. Whatever
yeah,
I can do. Cool. I like that
yeah.
card a lot. That's
I
cool.
know. I'll send it
Thank
to
you.
you. We'll put it on the Insta too.
I'm sure
Um,
it might, yes, it's going to resonate for someone who's listening. That might be for you too,
Yeah.
not necessarily Mayume, but yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a group card. It really did. When I pulled it, it was like, oh, this is like, I felt like, oh, this
Mhm.
is for you because you were speaking. But then I had like this ripple effect. I saw like
Yes.
just ripples everywhere. So for all of the listeners, yes, it's time. Grab your
Yeah.
confidence. You are
Yeah.
worthy. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are powerful. You've got
Mhm.
this. Yeah.
And I can name like three people off the top of my head that lions have appeared, like in readings and
Mhm.
things. So this is kind of crazy. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
aha, right. And it's speaking to them as well that I know listen to this podcast. So that's awesome. I
Mm,
love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
Do
are
we get to
we?
draw one? What about you? I know
Oh,
I don't
do
have the
I
cards in
want
front
for
of me,
me?
but
Oh, I can do
I
one
don't
for
you
me.
think
Oh,
so?
okay, I
We
can.
have to have two. We have to have two.
Okay, all right. Let me tap into my own
Yeah.
energy.
Yes,
Okay,
I
let's
know.
see.
And I'm thinking now I need to go out and get my Moonology
I'm
cards
just
from
saying these cards are
Yasmin.
magic. They
Yeah.
are magical. They're so interesting. And, if anything, you'll just learn so much, about yourself.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, my card, my gift. Oh, I get this one often. Motherfucker. Good God. Sorry. Um, it's the it's the North Node,
What?
and it says step out of your comfort zone.
Oh,
It's and I see this symbol a lot in the
do you
world.
know?
Yeah,
Really?
I've been drawing it actually upside down. I've been drawing it this way as well.
Interesting.
So I did not
And what
know
is the
that was the
symbol?
North Node.
What
I
is
think it's
it?
the North Node. That's the
North.
symbol of
That's the
of
symbol
the
of that. Okay.
I think.
Interesting.
I'm not
I don't know
sure.
it. I'm not familiar with it. Should I
Yeah.
be? Like I'm
I
not
don't know.
familiar with that.
I think we need to figure it out. Let me see what I got here. It just kind of gives me goosebumps because it feels a lot like your card in that, we're both in this really, phase in our work that we're working together and we're really just stepping out. Like even today, filming. Like this whole thing makes me, it is really outside my comfort zone. And you know this. So I've always been like, nah, I'm not ready. Like, let's not do the video, But
No.
today I really felt like, okay, well, I curled my hair.
Yeah.
So that's a start. I don't know.
I know it's true, everyone. I've been kind of pushing for this. Yeah, that we start branching it out and having a show. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the idea. I just need a makeup person.
Oh, hello. Don't we all? We
Yeah,
can't
I
afford
know.
that shit right now. Let's start with an editor. Let's
Oh my God, that's so good. I know. So yeah. So do you want to hear this? It says,
I do.
the attunement is, I know I'm heading in the right direction. So that's lovely to hear, isn't it? So there's about 5 meanings for the card. It says you're heading for something which feels like destiny. I love that.
Mm.
You need to face a fear and get over it. I'm like, okay, all right, Sister Moon, no need to get snippy.
No kidding. I love that. It's like,
I
come
know.
on.
Get over it. Yeah. Time to stop obsessing about someone or something. Yeah, that's interesting. Stand on your own 2 feet, and then you've got this. Isn't that weird that I was saying that in the last card? I was telling everyone you've got this. So I guess thank you, Sister Moon and Mayume. Thank you for encouraging me to pull one, because I think
Absolutely.
I wasn't
love
really
it.
listening to myself as I was
Yeah.
taking the first card.
Yeah.
I think I needed
It
to.
pertains to all of us. Yeah. I love it. And so going back, just a little review. The first card for me was obviously it was Leo with the lion, but what was the phrase? The phrase of that again? The word?
Yeah. Confidence. I put it, where
Confidence.
is it?
Stepping into your confidence?
Yes. Yeah. Embrace your confidence. Let me find it.
Embrace your confidence. And then yours.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Full moon in Leo. No, it wasn't. It was new moon in Leo, wasn't it?
New moon. It was the new
Yeah.
moon.
Confidence is your key to success. And then the attunement is make time to have fun.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Okay, cool.
Shine your light, be prideful, own your shit, right?
Own your shit.
And this one is about stepping out of your comfort zone. So really know that you're heading in the right direction. You're doing what you need to be doing, and don't doubt it,
And don't doubt it. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of align together. Would you agree?
Oh,
They're very similar, very similar in the message, but yes, which is kind of like you and me. If you think about it, it's kind of you and me. We're like, it's kind of the same, right? Yeah.
We are really much, very much in alignment. And I mean, I can really resonate with the confidence as well as, stepping out. I mean, honestly, this video thing, this is a huge thing for me. It's just, it's just a different level of vulnerability. It feels more vulnerable. I feel more exposed.
It does. We're putting ourselves out there. I mean, we felt that way when we started the podcast. We were excited. We knew we had to do it. It was a calling. And, once we got momentum, it's one of my favorite words. Once we got momentum, then it was like, oh, we got this down. And then I really, we constantly need to challenge ourselves. So I just can see it. I kept seeing like, we're going to be doing this. We've always called it a show, right? So, oh my God, you're laughing. So yes, that's next is the show, right? And this is pre-recorded, of course. So, but then comes after so we'll do this, and pretty soon this will be nothing, right? And then we'll be live. And then we're going to be live, and then we're going to be taking in callers so that want advice or guidance, or they have a question and they're going to call in, and we're going to answer it. And then people are going to listen to us answer it. Holy shit.
Okay, so can you all see? This is this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with my north node. You are my north node. You are the one that pulls me out of my comfort zone. And I love and adore you for that.
I know, sister. Yeah. It's happening.
Thank you.
Good job.
So
woohoo! One down. One down,
Woo!
sister. More to
We
go.
did it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we got this.
Awesome.
I just want to thank everybody for bearing with me and my, my limited knowledge of the
That's great.
Moonology. But
No, thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. And again, if you have not attended one of Manjeet's intuitive circles, it's this Thursday. She's got one at 10 a.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Pacific. So,
yeah,
yeah,
join
I'm
me.
sure they can find ways to sign up through your website. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Infinitebalance.net. Yeah. You can
you.
sign up there and meet some really badass folks and maybe learn a thing or two.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we'd
I
love to
love
have
it.
you. And I love you, man.
Great. I love you too, man. This is awesome. So we're saying goodbye or tuning off now for whack the mic. But
Boom,
yes,
boom, boom.
thanks for joining everyone. So we'll see you next time. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Mwah.